Welcome. So Ella and I'll start. I'm Alicia. I'm Pharmacy Practice and Learning Manager. So I have a national role with Ramsay. Worked for Ramsay for 17 years, which is making me feel old when I say that. But yes, I have been Ramsay since I was an intern. And we were called pre-reggers back then, but I have worked through lots of roles within Ramsay Healthcare, and I'm now leading the practice and learn team, which is fantastic. And we're really excited that we now have educators in some of our states, and we have Ella in a role as national educator. We also have a intern coordinator, and two of our staff in our pharmacy practice team are also APRA examiners. So we have a great combination of knowledge and trainers to be able to help you through our intern program. What was presented today is a fellowship program which goes for 2 years. So as a pharmacist intern, we understand what it is. We understand that you need to do a structured 1-year intern program, supernumerary to your pharmacist preceptor or supervising pharmacist. You need to do ITP program, and you need to pass your exams, which are now nicely clumped together. We also offer 2 sets of programs, which Ella will go through a Ramsay pharmacy version. Then we have the Ramsay Greater Healthcare, which goes through everything it is to be a great employee, a healthcare worker, how to plan life, conflict resolution, how to look at errors and issues, and how to work in a big healthcare organisation. So Ella, I'll get you to introduce yourself and then work through our pharmacy program. Thank you.
Thanks, Alicia. So, hey everyone, I'm Ella, and Alicia said, as Alicia said, I'm the National Clinical Educator, so I actually fall under Alicia's team. So we make up the pharmacy practice and learning. Basically, I didn't quite do my internship at Ramsay, but I actually did a residency program, which some of you may have heard of, which is an SHPA accredited program. And I did that at Greenslopes Private in Brisbane. So that's a 2-year program, and then I basically, after that, I felt that education was kind of my passion and the thing that I probably enjoyed the most about that program. So slowly sort of seeped into that role, and then actually started as the national educator for pharmacy about a year ago now, just over a year ago. And now it's a national role, which is really cool. So I get to travel around a fair bit and get to meet a lot of our teams and interns. Interns definitely the people that I tend to see the most. We have, like Alicia said, we sort of our own little program, which I will talk about in a sec as well. So, and you'll get to understand how that sort of fits in with your intern year. So yeah, I get to meet a lot of you eventually if you do end up joining us. And yeah, it's been awesome and really special role. And I think, it wouldn't be impossible if I wasn't kind of with Ramsay. So I guess that's probably one of the bonus things, is that the career pathways that you can go down as a pharmacist are kind of like unparalleled. There's positions that only exist within Ramsay that you wouldn't be able to find anywhere else. So I'm a big advocate for that, and it's really exciting to see so many of you on the line tonight, and hopefully, give you a good picture of what we're all about. You want me to chat about the intern program, Alicia, or?
Yeah, sure. So we've got 12 or so minutes. So we'll keep going and talking as long as you guys, if you have questions, feel free just to take yourself off mute and ask a question like you would in person, or put it in the chat. We can also read and respond to that as well. If you don't have any audio, more than happy to have it fairly casual and answer any questions as we talk through it. I guess some pressing questions are, we will have a mid-year intake of interns. We will have applications open through both Ramsay Careers and through Seek. So when those applications open, they'll be just like a job per se. They'll come up as an internship to do a mid-year entry. Then when we move to the more formal application process for the 2023 intake, it's a larger process. We normally have around 40 interns across the group. So we do more structured career guidance. So we do sort of like an expression of interest early on, And then we have each site-based opportunity come up. We do some, not necessarily group interviews, but maybe an interview for a region. And then we sort of work out what sort of a role you'd like to do and where that would be best placed. So if you're interested in a hospital or a community pharmacy, or you're interested in a combination of both, and you're looking at an area, we try and place you to the area that you're interested in living and becoming a pharmacist in, but also placing you into the right facility that we think would suit your personality, the team that already exists, and your needs and career goals. So we sort of have a bit of an open conversation about where you'd like to go, what your ideas are, and then we sort of try and place you into the right opportunity. So even though you might think that Greenslopes is the ultimate, or working at Peninsula Private in Victoria would be exactly where you want to be, when we have that discussion and we work through, the fact you might enjoy mental health, there might be different opportunities available that you weren't, that you didn't know of prior to a conversation. Sure.
Okay, so I think, like Alicia said, we are kind of unique in that we do span across hospital and community pharmacies. So when we take in those sort of expressions of interest, we sort of say, like, are you interested in hospital? Are you interested in community, or a bit of both? And then we can kind of work out, which areas work well for you. At the moment, a lot of our Victorian interns kind of rotate across both areas. So they'll have 7 weeks in one of the hospitals. They'll go to maybe a community pharmacy for 7 weeks, then go to another hospital. So you end up being very, very well-rounded. And it's actually the best of both worlds, in my opinion, because the oral exams and the exam material generally rotates more around the community side of things. So to have a bit of both, is just an awesome sort of experience that you can really only get with Ramsay at the moment. So we're a bit unique in that aspect. So getting a few questions. So I think Megan, hopefully it's Megan or Megan, I'd say, you asked about, so how does it fit in with the intern year? So obviously, yes, you have to do your intern year still, and you're still expected to do your intern training program. So whether that's, through Monash, if you're from Victoria, UQ, if you're Queensland, or PSA, you still have to do that. But how it ties sort of into the Ramsay fellowship program is that we do offer additional things while you're doing your intern year. So the first of those is myself, as well as our intern coordinators, who, like Alicia said, they're all ARPA examiners. So they know those the oral exams and the written exams like the back of their hand. They know how it all works. We basically run our own kind of miniature intern program, in that every week we'll have an hour tutorial just to run through practice exams, real life scenarios, how to deal with things clinically, how to speak to doctors, how to, sort out problems that may arise as, you do become registered. So just kind of prepping you mostly for your exams and things, but also for real life as a pharmacist as well, and making sure that once you take that step, you do feel supported and things like that too. So that's the first part, is that it's very pharmacy orientated, and yes, we're prepping you for those exams. And then the second component is kind of what, like Alicia mentioned, in that we have what we call Grad Plus days, which is basically all the graduates all together. So it can be nursing graduates, pharmacy interns, allied health, so physios, dietitians, whoever, they all sort of come along to these days, and there's about 4 during the year. And it's all about just how to practice as a health professional. So not super pharmacy relevant, but actually is quite relevant, because it gives you skills about, problem solving, how to do risk management, and how to do reporting, and things that will actually are very important in our day-to-day sort of practice anyway. So, and it's more just to see how the greater Ramsay sort of works. Pharmacy is one little component, but we're, as you can see before, we're part of a huge organisation. So it's really good to get an insight of okay, how does a nursing graduate differentiate to us? How do they, learn to do things? How does an allied, not a physio, how does it all work with them? Because we do end up working with them quite closely, especially if you're in the hospital side of things, and more in the community side too. So we do end up working with them quite closely. So it's good to get that insight too. So that's kind of year 1 of the fellowship. It is really an intern program within a program. So it's all about your intern year. And then really that second year is about guiding you into an early career pharmacist and basically providing that support so that you're very supported during the intern year. You get a lot of, different things and little milestones that you have to sort of complete. And then often it's just kind of ripped away as soon as you get registered, and you're kind of left like, oh my gosh, like now I actually have to be, legally responsible for myself. And I don't know how to deal with this without having like a supervisor. And really what that second year of the fellowship program is all about is just gearing you up so that you're confident in practicing as a pharmacist, and opening up opportunities for you as well. So for instance, if you did your intern year in community and thinking, I really enjoyed it, but I would really like some experience in hospital now, then we can actually sort that out with you. So we generally have a meeting at the end of the year, like when you're about to finish your intern year, get your thoughts, where you want to see, like where you sort of see yourself over the next year or two. And then we work closely with you about, okay, how can we accommodate that for you? Is it you've been in hospital and you'd like to go to community, or would you prefer to do more of a rotational sort of role where you go like across both? We've had some of our interns already from last year who expressed interest in oncology, and they're now working in oncology. So we've given them that opportunity to sort of start specialising in things. In terms of other things that are sort of available, so we do have the residency program, which is what I did as fresh out of intern year as well. So we've just been accredited to do that across all of our sites, all of our hospital sites. So that can, if you're an intern next year, that'll be like 2024 for you, that you could maybe consider something like that. And that's like another 2-year program. And we are also looking at sort of these professional development pathways for our community pharmacists too. So looking at like the first 1,000 days of you practicing and how we can check off certain milestones for you and make sure that you're still having that mentor support, and you're feeling, like you're still learning kind of thing, rather than being thrown into the deep end as a pharmacist going, oh my gosh. So that's pretty much that. Hopefully I've answered some of the questions there. Chloe, you did ask, so what's the difference between an intern program intake versus a fellowship program? Like, hopefully I've kind of made that clear that they're kind of integrated into each other. So you have your intern year, which is a part of your first year of fellowship, and then you have the second year, which is where we can accommodate to where you want to specialise. Do we apply for both? Alicia, you might be able to answer that one. I don't.
Sorry, I think they might be. Those messages must be going directly to you because
yes,
I can't see them.
Sorry.
I don't mind. So you don't need to apply for both. At the end of your internship, if you pass your exam and become a pharmacist, that's when we, obviously have to change your contract and offer you a pharmacist role in a site that has availability for pharmacists. So there's not necessarily one at the site that you might work at, especially if you're at like a single pharmacist site and your preceptor is staying in their role. However, we do keep about 75% of our interns on as pharmacists. We keep mostly 100%. However, people like to move on and move locations and move into different career paths. Some go off and be doctors and things like that. So it's not always the case that we can keep you on, but lots of times we would keep on casual pharmacists if you choose to study something else as well. So we have around 1,500 staff in the group. So we have a lot of opportunity. We have 102 facilities that we look after, 60 community pharmacies, 40 dispensaries and 2 head offices. So there's lots of different opportunities around the place. Ella and I are in a team, but we're, 2,000 kilometres from each other, but that doesn't matter. So we are very au fait at working across the states and having lots of different locations and things in our teams. So the mid-year applications are just for people who are already finished their degree and are wanting to start their ITP or the intern program in middle of the year, or have had 6 months experience at a different employer and are wanting to move over to Ramsay. If you're currently still doing a uni and you're in 4th year and you don't finish until the end of the year and you don't graduate until the end of the year, your intake will be in in the beginning of next year or very late in December, depends on when your university graduates you and when APRA allow you to start your intern program, because you've got your paperwork sorted and they give you your provisional registration number, which allows you to start your intern year and start counting your hours. So we'll have the ads up for 2023 ready to go in sort of late July, early August. And that's when we sort of put that out there, start working through where we see gaps in our current business and where interns have been able to grow in some of our big hospitals or our community pharmacies where we would regularly take an intern. As I said, currently we have 40 this year. So there's likely to be something along that line of placements. Some sites have 2. We're talking some of the bigger facilities where there might be multiple locations, like an oncology unit and a dispensary or something like that. There's always a separate preceptor, and then you're supported by Ella and Kelly as your intern coordinators.
I'd just like to ask a question, if that's all right.
Please.
Of course.
Sorry, I'll turn my camera on. How do we go about, I'm wanting to do hospital literally anywhere in the country. Is there a way that I can apply for all of the hospitals rather than trying to go into each individual one at a time?
Yeah, so the way I'll have the ads put up, I'll have state-based ads originally. So you can apply in all 3 states. I kind of look at the first cut and have a look. But I encourage you to say in your cover letter that that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult for an employer to look at someone's address, for instance, being Victoria, and understand why they're applying for a Queensland job. So your cover letter, I encourage you to write, I'm willing to move for a hospital position because that's what I would like. And I'm willing to move into these, these sorts of locations.
Yeah.
So that's why I encourage you to sort of be explicit at the beginning, so that we understand why a different address or a different location is applying for a job. It makes more sense to us, and then it's not I don't know, this is a funny application.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that.
We definitely had people that have travelled, Holly, as well in the past, where they've maybe been from like Queensland before. We have a lot, like, maybe they're from Brisbane and they've gone up to Cairns and absolutely loved it and lived their tropical lifestyle for a year and then had a great time. So it's definitely possible. And I agree with Alicia, just be explicit and just say, look, I just really want a hospital job, don't mind where it is. But be, like if you're not willing to go somewhere rural, like just put that out there and say, like, prefer to keep it into like a CBD, or if you're really like, I don't care, then just say it.
Yeah, so if I've got a preference for like metropolitan anywhere in Australia, but in order to get that hospital position, I'm willing to go rural, would you say that explicitly?
Yeah. But do your research, have a look where we have facilities. So you saw I typed in there that we have some in Cairns and Rockhampton. We have some in Peninsula, in Victoria, that some people would say Frankston, slightly rural, out of Melbourne. I know people don't like to sometimes travel too many kilometres or time in their vehicles. We also have like areas like Newcastle that have huge facilities. Coffs Harbour. We have some on the border, John Flynn. It's a 400 bed facility that's on the border of Queensland and New South Wales. It's definitely not in a CBD, but also not too far away. So we do have facilities regionally that have Ramsay Pharmacy. Not all of the Ramsay hospitals have a Ramsay Pharmacy, but you can find those on their websites, or you can ask us.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for that.
Hi, could I please ask a question that was mentioned about some detail that was mentioned in the previous room about application documents? It said about students to submit was it a letter of reference from their placements? Is that what it was? Was it like a document of? Can you please give a bit more detail of that so students can kind of look to collect that over the next semester when they're on placements?
Yeah, so the document can be whether you've had a Ramsay placement or not a Ramsay placement. And it's just a tool so that the hiring managers can see, okay, we've had a Ramsay placement here and it was really successful, and you got feedback from our own staff. And so it's really designed as like a helper on your application, that you've had a placement with us as a student, and that you were then able to perform within that placement, and you got good feedback. And whether you're applying for that same location or you're applying for a slightly different location, it adds to your application. So does, of course, being a fourth year student with us and already having a role. That gets it's quite cute in the system. It changes the smiley face to purple, saying you're a current employee. And obviously those stand out for us when we come to having, 400 or 500 applications come through. We can sort of see, oh, they're a current employee and they're applying for their current workplace. That's probably an advantage for that person because they already have built the relationships. They understand a workplace, they understand Ramsay culture, and so they're at an advantage to somebody who hasn't had, isn't working or hasn't had a placement at that facility.
Sure. But you would be interested in seeing written references from placements outside of Ramsay as well?
Yeah, yep. The application has both.
Okay,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Thanks. So to address the mid-year entries, currently we have, I know we have 3 opportunities in Victoria for mid-year entries where we have roles available. One is in a rural hospital and 2 are community pharmacy roles. They will go up as particular ads, but if you'd like to contact us directly and you think you'd like to put in an expression of interest, we're more than happy to take those direct, Ella and I.
Yeah, I might just type my email in.
Oh, can you type in mine too?
And I'll do yours as well, yeah.
Well, they can send them to you, that's fine. Oh, absolutely, can be from community pharmacy. So no problem. If you've worked in one of our community pharmacies, obviously that will come up as a Ramsay placement. You've come to our hospital dispensaries, then that's fine too. So it's all good feedback, and we understand that you don't really have a lot of references if you haven't particularly been working and just doing your placements whilst at university. Then they can be hard to find. So that's what makes up for those. So it's a fairly set application. It's a computer system, so it has boxes and sections available for you to upload different evidence depending on your place. Absolutely. In your cover letter, yes, I already work for, Ramsay Pharmacy, Tunstall Square. I love that place. I would really like to continue my internship at the facility, or I'd like to continue my internship with Ramsay Pharmacy, and I'm happy to move within Melbourne CBD. So anything along those lines that gives you an advantage over other applicants.
Hi, Alicia.
Hi.
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. So I am planning for the Rural Victorian Internship Media. So I just want to know which rural hospital is available.
Rural hospitals in Victoria?
Yes, please.
Yep. So we've got Shepton Private, Wangaratta, which is kind of like, I believe it's kind of community and hospital. So the community pharmacy helps service the hospital there. You got me thinking now. Shepton, Wangaratta. We also have some that are on the border of New South Wales and Victoria. So in Albury, Wodonga, we've got a large border cancer hospital as well as Albury Private. Then you've got maybe a little bit more Melbourne. You've got, Peninsula Private and Ballura Private, which is Mornington Peninsula, Frankston. And I think that's basically as rural as it gets in Victoria. The rest are all really around the CBD sort of area.
So is there any rural hospital internship available at this point, mid-year this year? In
mid-year? I actually don't know off the top of my head, but I feel free to apply and then we can definitely sort something out. We will take that into account if that's, what you wish. we always look at that and go, okay, what's available and everything. I actually don't know off the top of my head, sorry.
No, it's all good. Thank you.
Sorry, me again. In terms of placement for the rest of this year, what do you guys see as a potential a better potential candidate, like doing a placement in a Ramsay hospital that I want to apply for an internship for, or potentially doing an international hospital placement or anything like that? Is there anything that you guys go, wow, like that kind of sets a student apart from someone else?
That's a really good question. I think it's maybe a personal thing. I don't know, like I think if you've done a placement, whether it's in hospital or community, if you got like a good experience from that and you got a good reference, then that to me probably speaks the best. I did my like 4th year QUM in London and loved it. Like personally for me, that was great. I don't think it helped me. I don't know if it helped me at all. I think some things did, but I actually got, when I completed that placement there, I got a reference from my preceptor who was looking after me. And I think that was the thing that helped at the end of the day. I don't think anyone cared that whatever I did over there. It was more just about, you know, I did a good job, got the reference, and then that maybe helped. So I don't know, Alicia, you might think differently, but for me personally, I think you've done a good job on your placement and you've managed to get a reference, then that's probably what speaks the most.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
If you have a site that you think that you'd love to work at, I think you should ask for a placement there.
Yeah.
We take placements from most universities. I don't know which uni you're at, Holly, but we have agreements with the unis, and then we can take placements. Otherwise, we can look at 4th year job applications. I did my QM in LA.
There you go.
And so we're both a bit random, which was awesome. But like my QM placement was typing in English and the labels coming out in Spanish. Freaked me out a bit because I couldn't actually read the Spanish that the label was in. And then everything was in fluid ounces. And look, it really didn't help me. It did help me in life, but it didn't help me get an internship.
Yeah.
What helped me get an internship was that I was a bit flexible. So I took a kind of rotational pharmacist role across aged care, community pharmacy, hospital, and did it slightly rural. So I did it on the Sunshine Coast, and I took a gamble with life and went up there and stayed forever, but also went outside of the city and was able to escalate my career quickly because I wasn't in a competitive market at the time, which you guys are coming into a very employee focused market. There are, you know, for every pharmacist, there are 3 jobs. So you're coming in at a great time because us as employers want you. And so pretty much, you know, it's not pharmacy land of 7 or 8 years ago when there was way too many pharmacists and you couldn't get a role. You're now coming into opportunities where you know, employers are wanting pharmacists. They're wanting qualified pharmacists. They're wanting pharmacists that are willing to, you know, do vaccination services, extended scope of practice, meds checks, HMRs. So they want qualified pharmacists that are diverse and that are interested in specializations as well, such as being a manager, such as doing professional care pharmacy in our community pharmacy, such as doing immunizations or working as clinical pharmacist.
There's been a question that's come directly to me, but I'll read it out for everyone because I'm sure other people are wondering the same thing. So this is from Laurel. So is it hard to join the hospital team? And what sort of questions do you get asked in the interview? Good question.
I know the questions because I wrote them.
Well, they're always...
We do a case.
Yeah, you do.
We do a case where we expect you to have some level of clinical knowledge. So that means being able to pick up a couple of fairly basic drug interactions and understand what you would do with them. So quite uni-based, kind of written uni looking at a drug chart, saying what the problem is and how you're going to fix it. But realistically, we want you to be a well-rounded person. So if you have, you know, some work experience, you have goals that you want to achieve, there's no limitations to getting into a hospital role based on what you've done in the past, especially at this level. So we don't really, whilst uni placements are great, they don't really give you a whole lot of work experience, because once you've started work, you know, 2 to 3 weeks in on your actual job, then you will have had as much experience as you would have at a placement. So, you know, whilst it is great to see it on a resume, it's not the be all and end all if you've never had a hospital experience and you're interested in a hospital role. But I do encourage you to have a look at student roles, and if you're really interested in working at one of our facilities, then reach out and ask for a 4th year job, because we'll be, as I said, it's an employees market. We're more than happy to have you, even if we don't have ads out. Oh, absolutely. So absolutely. So if you do apply for a particular hospital or a particular community pharmacy, and you're not the best candidate for that role, we will let you know what other opportunities are available. Oh, has the job ad gone for Taylor? Oh.
Oh, has
Oh,
it?
so it was open a few weeks ago. I didn't keep my eye on it, but I'll find out. Megan, can you email me?
Yeah, I'll put it on Alicia's
and
email.
I will find a site in Brisbane that has a role or that can take a student. We have six pharmacies within that sort of 10k radius of UQ, QT kind of thing. And we have a new one opening soon on the Gold Coast. So we've got ads up for that as well, where it says dispensary technician. That doesn't mean it can't be pharmacy student. Cool, okay. We've gone a bit over time. It's getting late.
You've got both of our emails in there anyway in the chat. So feel free to reach out if you've, you know, wanted to ask a question that you couldn't, or prefer to type it up or whatever, or if you're just wanting to know or express your interest, yeah, just feel free to email us. We're more than happy with that.
Yeah, and those ads, if you follow Ramsay Careers, if you jump on ramsaycareers.com.au, it's a website that has all our Ramsay job ads go up. Otherwise, we put our pharmacy ads all on Seek as well. So if you put in your profile on Seek and keep that running, you'll see those ads pop up for applications opening for our intern program for 2023.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming along. It's really great to see a good turnout. And like I said, feel free to email, and hopefully we'll get to see you one day. That'll be good. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Bye.